Hi everyone, today I'm excited to introduce our new library, Windshades. Windshades is the follow-up to String Shades, which was incredibly well received, and it's a collection of breathtaking woodwind performances, from delicate whispers to wild expressions. It was performed by a 12-piece chamber woodwind ensemble. The players weaved in and out of each other rather than playing unison, each performing their note as though it was a piece of music, and this gives an incredibly lifelike moving sound full of soul and character. Windshades was recorded at the legendary Rottenbiller Studios in Budapest, Hungary. Our engineer, Victor Sabo, used a range of perspective to capture the musicians and live room in pristine detail. The goal with the library was to shorten the distance between installation and inspiration. We wanted to simplify everything so that you can just play and find a sound you resonate with. There are 5 core articulations that will give you a great range of color and textures, starting with undulating, which has a nice warm open sound and undulates freely. There's also a slight vibrato for added texture. It's a really lovely sound. Next we have emotive, which as the name suggests has a rich and passionate sound. And for this I'm going to use the sustain pedal. After that, there's pulsing, where you can hear more movement between the players. This one has more energy, forward motion, and is designed to add tension and character. This will certainly breathe new life into your compositions. Then we have Wild Trails, and this one has a beautiful frantic sound, great for adding some energy and movement to your music. Here you can play major second intervals if you press the note on your keyboard lightly, or minor third intervals if you press the notes on your keyboard harder. You can also play multiple chords and notes to create interesting effects. What a beautiful, fantastic sound that you can easily achieve just by pressing a couple of keys. And lastly, Fragments, a slightly more experimental technique where the players perform short notes at random, which creates this beautiful pointillistic, unpredictable sound. I really love the granular effect of this articulation. It's like a subtle floating swarm of notes. It's a really great collection of sounds, and you can already do so much with it. But there's more. With String Shades, we added a new character slider, which we brought to Windshade as well, and you can find it here in the center of the interface. And it allows you to combine additional sound design layers to your core wind sound. And what it means is that you can easily add more depth, intensity, movement, and energy to your sound. So if I click this toggle here and enter the character menu, you can see I have now access to 5 unique layers, which I can combine to our wind sound to add more depth and expression. So let's take a listen to each one of them individually. The first one we're gonna check out is Haze. What an incredible sound! There is so much going on that we can listen to Dream State. Absolutely incredible. And it was literally 4 notes. It's just astonishing how much you can get out of 4 notes and all the emotions that it carries. Then after we have flickers. Really, really beautiful. And this one is so good because it's fairly clean and neutral, and yet it has a lot of weight. So when you dabble it with your core wind sound, you will get this extra oomph in the sound that really adds a lot of drama and momentum. Then after there's stargazing, one of my favorite. Finally, we have Apocalypse, my absolute favorite. So let's leave our layer 5 on and head back to the main page so we can hear how it sounds in combination with some of our wind sounds. Here we have undulating, emotive, and pulsing with layer 5. I love the extra depth that the character slider provides. A really stunning sound with a modern edge that takes his library in a really cool direction. Going forward, from these core articulations, we then created pairs, which are unique combinations of the single patches, and there may be changes to the mapping, so you may have undulating in high register or pulsing in the low register, for example. So let's take a listen to a few of them. I wish I had more fingers. It's so fascinating and interesting to hear something like Wild Trails that has more energy and together with something more sustained like emotive. I found the combination really compelling. And as for many of our libraries, we included a massive collection of design patches. Since the beginning of Sonic Cinema, one of our favorite things to do has been to experiment with taking a traditional sound recording and shaping it into something completely new. So with the design patches, we combine articulations, change mic positions and panning, add reverb, effects, delay, sequencers, and made use of the character slider. Let's start with At Peace, which features undulating and dream state and apocalypse from the pads. what a superb sound. Then after we have Bewitched, which has the gator on, as you can see. And as you can tell, it adds so much movement to your piece, but it can also sound a bit more tense. So not only can sound peaceful and harmonious, but also add incredible tension. This one is echoes. It's really an inspiring sound. And as you could tell, I was trying to play something that related to echoes, but it's quite tricky with just two hands. And this one is Hold On. What a fantastic combination of sounds. And we can see here in the interface, it's undulating and while thrills on. Then we go to the character slider, see the stargazing is on, activated, and the cathedral C instead of the usual medium stage B. We can check out other things. So every, see close mic and just ambient. So every design patch is made in the box. And finally, we can listen to Risk. Really nice cinematic sound. It will fit perfectly in a film scene, either like a dawn or maybe you're looking at something tragic and there's this sustained notes and leaves you time to think. So as you can hear, they add a new dimension to the sound and also a lot of musical inspiration. You still have a beautiful natural sound with the cool articulations and pairs, but if you're looking for something a bit more cinematic or experimental, you can definitely lean on the design patches. Now, let's take a look at the interface, and you may be familiar with it if you use string shades or any of the Swells libraries, but if not, don't worry, as I'll show you how you can customize the sound yourself. There are 5 slots that allow you to play articulations individually or combine them to craft your own unique sound. To activate or deactivate an articulation, you can either click the toggle in the top left corner or trigger the key switch on your keyboard, and the corresponding note is displayed in the top center of the slot. Switching between articulations using key switches is quick and convenient. I'll show you now. Let's start by playing something with the undulating and one of the paths from the character slider. I quite like it, but I'm not sure it's the right sound for this phrase. So quickly, I'm just gonna press G2, which you can see here in the middle of the interface, and instantly we switch to emotive. It sounds really good, but why don't we try pulsing now? G sharp. And this could be the right sound for this phrase, it's really up to you. But this just to show you how quickly and easy it is to switch between articulations. To adjust the panning, you can use the fader at the bottom of each slot. While to control the volume, you can use the fader on the right side of the slot. To access the articulation menu, just click the toggle with 3 lines at the top of any slots. And for example, I can select pulsing here, and now we have 2 pulsing articulations. There's the character slider, which we've already talked about, and you can switch it on and off by clicking this toggle here. And you can also adjust the master volume using the slider in the center. Moving down, there are 2 panels related to the mixing of the sound that contain useful settings. On the left, the proximity slider controls the microphone mix, so basically how far or close the sound of your ensemble is. And by default, we have the auto purge on, which you can find in the mix tab, and it's this button here. And what it does essentially, it makes sure that unused microphone positions are not loaded, so the patches are a lot smaller. But if you are moving the proximity slider, you will have to wait for a moment for the microphone to load. But if it's off, there's no problem. So let's bring it up to 100%, and here it's up close and you can really hear the details. Moving down to 50%, you can start to feel the room a bit better. And finally 0%, which is the farthest sound you can get, and it's great if you want a more ambient sound. And of course, it really depends on your taste, but it's great to have the options to decide what's the sound that works best for your piece. Next, the expression slider controls the overall patch volume. While blur and gloss allow you to apply a low pass and high pass filtering. And finally, the stereo width slider widens or narrows the stereo image. And the dynamic slider lets you tame the dynamics. Now moving to the mix tab, here you can further refine the instrument sound by adjusting the individual microphone positions. There are 4 options: close, mid, far, and ambient. So let's quickly listen to each one individually. Let's start with the closed mic. It's a really nice, dry upfront sound. Next, mid, where you can start to feel a bit more the room the instrument was recorded in. Then far, which could be considered like a tree mic. finally ambient, which is the farthest mic position. And the room where string shades and wind shades were recorded in is quite spacious, so you can really feel the distance from the source. If you move the proximity slider in the mix page, you can see in real time how it affects the microphone positions, and it's something I always like to say. And of course, you can move them individually, solo them, or mute them. So you can really find your preferred mix here. We also offer a mix perspective, which was created in-house and by default is muted. This mix is designed to give you a great sound out of the box, and you can use this unique mix independently or in combination with other microphones. Moving to the right panel, we have access to FX, EQ, and envelope, where you can change things like attack or release. In the FX page, you can change the reverb, apply degrade, or delay. In the most common scenario, you might want to change the reverb, and the preloaded one is called medium stage B. But if you click on it, you can see you have now access to 20 natural sounding presets and 4 artificial ones. So I just changed it to Cathedral A. And you can hear the tail and the size of the reverb. Cathedral A is a really good choice for something a bit bigger. So these were the main things you need to get started, but there's still more to explore. Now I'll show you a great feature that will make you feel like an orchestrator, the mapping page. So here you can see all of your articulations, and you can easily toggle them on and off with a simple click. The arrow icons at the edges of the keyboard allow you to decide the range of each articulation. So for example, we could have undulating in the lower register and fragments in the higher register. We could try adding pulsing in the middle. And for this, I'm just going to use the sustain pedal so I can play more notes. Fantastic sound, and I love that you can decide each articulation so precisely. Then you can even further refine and adjust this with a fade control, which creates volume fades between the mapping zones. And while the octave transposes an octave up or down the articulation. And this essentially allows you to build your own custom ensemble, and precisely decide exactly who's playing what articulation, which for me is a fantastic feature to have. Moving to the sequencer page, it adds a gator to the sound, and we've included numerous presets with various rhythmic patterns to choose from. And all of this is totally customizable. You can change the width, the strength, the swing, mode. It can be random. You can change the direction, or even move the sequence. And of course, you can always reset it. We can listen to a few different rhythms now. 1/8 triplets, Then 1/4, and so on. So depending on what you need, you can choose amongst a few rhythms here. Also, we included lots of presets. Really cool. The really great thing about the gator is also when you combine with the core sound, so you have the natural beautiful sound, and this one adds lots of movement and tension and energy. And now I'd like to show you what a fantastic combo is when you combine wind shades with string shades. And with my composer hat on, I think it's truly remarkable. It's music that feels alive, with musicians weaving in and out, playing unique articulations, and it's generally fun and inspiring to play. So this was Wind Shades, a really unique and creative library that complements and expands on what we started with string shades. You have beautiful imperfections, untamed creativity that will make your music come to life, plus all the more cinematic and experimental side of it with the design patches and the character slider. The library requires the full version of Kontakt 6.8.0 or above. It doesn't work with the free Kontakt player, so please make sure you have the right version before making your purchase. If you want to know more about the library, watch more videos or hear some demos, please head over to our website and I'll leave a link in the description. Also, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments and I'll make sure to get back to you. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next one.